Now up to the state of New York to decide whether an all-female volunteer EMT company can get a license to operate an ambulance.
It is a contentious issue in the Orthodox Jewish community in Brooklyn, where there has long been an ambulance service only run by men. CBS News' Lisa Rosner reports.
I fell down into the chicken soup and got burned on my buttocks and my thighs.
When a scalding pot of chicken soup spilled on her, this woman in the Orthodox Jewish community who didn't want to show her face called the all-female emergency response team known as Ezras Nashim.
I didn't have to call any of the members of the men's organization, Hatzalah, because I was so embarrassed. It saved me a lot of shame.
Shame because in this culture, modesty is a fundamental value. Men and women who are not married don't touch each other. For 50 years, Hatzalah, the male volunteer ambulance corps, has served the community, but does not accept women paramedics. PBS's POV documentary titled 93 Queen by Paula Eizelt profiles the upstart female EMT group serving women, especially in emergencies such as childbirth or bathroom situations.
My first call, believe it or not, was a woman who fell in her shower.
If you are completely naked, your Hatzalah next door neighbor shows up, and then you see him on a wedding or any other event, it's uncomfortable.
But Hatzalah and dozens of rabbis argue in emergencies, Jewish law does permit male paramedics to treat women. And as policy, a Hatzalah member will give the call to a different paramedic if the patient is a neighbor who is uncomfortable. Its response time is much quicker than Ezras Nashim's 8 minutes, and that's why the women's group applied for an ambulance license. It would also permit lights and sirens in responders' vehicles. The 40 paramedic volunteers have responded to 450 calls this year with two-way radios. Each has medical gear in their personal car, but when someone needs to go to the hospital, Ezras Nashim has to call 911 and get an FDNY ambulance.
The fire department, they're wonderful, they're great, but some of the ladies still prefer to say, why don't you have your own ambulance?
That will now be decided by the New York State Department of Health because the local New York City Council that oversees who gets an ambulance license denied their application. At a previous hearing, Rabbi Yechiel Kaufman testified.
Having multiple volunteer EMS services operating in and servicing the same community will cause confusion as to whom to call an emergency, thereby causing delays.
People have the choice to call us. We're not trying to take over.
We tried contacting some of the people who previously spoke out against this license, but they did not return our calls or messages.
We can still do it. I mean, the need is there. They're still calling us. We can't just close up shop.
And in fact, they're accepting volunteer applications for 2020 while they appeal to the state for an ambulance license. In Borough Park, Brooklyn, Lisa Rosner, CBS 2 News.
Now, we did want to ask Hatzalah why it does not have a women's unit that can respond to emergencies, but did not get a response. The state will probably not consider the license until next year.